Hi everyone, it's Sunday, February 28th, time for another HideNet Week in Review. I'm Vera Dordick. So the global Hide market is ramping back up to full speed now that the Lunar New Year holiday is over, but that doesn't mean that it's smooth sailing everywhere in the world. In the US, it actually was a good week because sellers were reporting plenty of bids, and in the end, prices were mainly steady with a few small increases here and there. They're all still very well sold, so no one is pressed to take prices lower. But as has been the case for the past couple of months, the big issue is still shipping because customers want their hides, but getting them to the port and then out on their way is still challenging. With regard to heavy Texas steers, prices were generally steady to higher. Seasonal weights were selling from $28 to $31. Most steers were firm this week too, and as we've said before, cows are still a bit firmer than steers, and those sellers are also quite well positioned. Taking a look at slaughter for the week through Saturday, February 27th, the total was an estimated 666,000, which is actually a whopping 21% higher than last week. And you might remember that slaughter had dropped because of the unusual winter storm that affected the South and all of Texas, actually, and slowed down numerous processing plants, but now everything's pretty much back to normal with regard to slaughter. Turning to Europe, editor Andrea Guolo says that Asian buyers are still out of the market there because the prices are just too high. They can get better deals in the US and in Latin America, so that's what they're doing. In the UK, Andrea says that sellers raised their asking prices, but they didn't get them. The 36 plus ox is still being sold at £1.15 in sterling, and the Irish equivalent is €1.10. They'll probably keep asking for more, though, because the latest slaughter data in the UK shows that totals were lower across the board in January, and that's limiting the supply. Among European bulls, the situation is tense because sellers are still asking for more as far as prices go, and that's because of low slaughter across the continent, but tanners don't want to hear it because they can't pay more. Southern German bulls are selling at €1.65 per kilo, even though sellers are asking for 10 cents more. European cows were stable this week, while in the veal skin market, some origins did see increases, and that's partly on the back of limited availability for those as well. In his analysis this week, Andrea looks at the recent price tensions and the stock situation in the tanneries, and along with the outlook for what might happen in March. Turning to South America, unbelievably, raw material prices rose yet again. We really shouldn't be surprised because it's been a dramatically rising trend through the second half of 2020, and it's continued into this year. Editor Ronald Guiel says that fresh hides in Brazil closed at $2.29 per kilo. TR1, however, remains steady, selling for $1.07 per square foot. And this is exactly what is causing some apprehension. Ronald says that the rising price of raw material compared to the steady levels for wet blue is really putting exports at risk. In other news from Brazil, we have a report that slaughterhouses are idling due to low cattle supply in Mato Grosso, and some entities want to start importing cattle from Paraguay, but ranchers groups really oppose that. Also, Brazilian brands have been busy at various virtual and even an in-person footwear fair with good results. And from elsewhere in Latin America, in Argentina, the DAS company wants to increase footwear production there. Mexico will hold Sapica in person this spring with restrictions, and Uruguay's leather exports are still down in 2021. So that's all we have for this week, and until next week, good night from HideNet.